thinking about it, I want to mention SPAD.
Yes.
Can you tell our viewers about SPAD?
Yes,
SPAD is such a sweetheart.
At home, he's a different dog. So SPAD is Josiah's service dog. We got him a little over a year ago. It was, I think, we spent 3 months fundraising $15,000 for him.
I had no idea. $15,000.
Yeah, and now the families are raising $17,000, and the organization as a whole, it costs them $40,000 to $60,000 to breed and raise the dogs.
And provide the initial training.
And provide the training, yeah.
Wow.
So they have a breeding program, and then they have an early puppy raiser program where you can, if you'd like to raise a puppy, you can raise a puppy. And then they do a fostering, which is when you see the dogs out in public, well, how it's supposed to be is when you see a dog in public that you're allowed to pet, it's usually a foster that they're trying to get used to various experiences. So a service dog should be non-reactive in public. The only way you can make a service dog non-reactive in public is to expose them to as wide a variety of experiences as possible, and when in doubt, give them treats.
Right.
So yeah, so that's another thing. There's foster families, and then here at OU, there's actually a club of students that will foster the dogs and take them to class with them and basketball games. And
oh my gosh.
so that whole pipeline leads to when they go to advanced training, and they'll screen the dogs out. I think currently they have a 60%, I think, that pass through advanced training.
Okay.
So it's even these dogs that are specially bred and put through this, a lot of them don't necessarily make it because they have really strict standards. Yeah. And that's why we chose to fundraise $15,000.
So how did you do that? How did you fundraise $15,000? And how long did it take you to do that?
It took us about 3 months. Some families it takes
wow,
years.
That's impressive.
One family in our class, they fundraised it in 3 days. I was like, what? How?
Yeah, how?
We just held lots of little fundraisers. You know, I had friends that would, they'd be selling Usborne books or whatever, and they'd say, oh, I'll give you a portion of the proceeds. Or
did you do a GoFundMe site?
Since it's through a nonprofit, Four Paws is a nonprofit, they have a fundraising site, and so yeah, it was like a GoFundMe.
Okay.
People could donate directly to it. We had several just fundraisers. We did a Zumbathon one day, and then one of the OU clubs, I'm going to screw this up, Student Council for Exceptional Children, which is all future special ed teachers, they got together and had a pancake breakfast for us. So it was really nice to see the community come together for Josiah.
I'm just sitting here thinking how, oh my gosh, I probably would have felt overwhelmed with love.
And there were people that were like anonymously donating on the page, and I was like, I can't even write you a thank you note, but you have no idea how important this is for me. And then we got put in a class, so they're backed up. They have so many Requests that it was about 18 months out, and last summer we went there for 2 weeks of training. So they trained the handlers to handle the dog because the trainer explained it this way. He trained a dog for a guy from Tennessee. The guy comes up to get his dog, and he's doing the handler training with him. He says, okay, tell your dog to sit. And the guy goes, say it.
Oh no.
And so the dog knows, what this hand motion means. It means sit. But the dog doesn't know what that word means because it's a totally different word. And so some of it is training the dog to the handler.
That's funny.
And realizing the rules still apply with this person. We're not at grandma's house. Where hopefully the rules are still applying this week.
Well,
my children
it was so hard during the school year. Every morning I'd be in the classroom dropping off my daughter, and we'd go over to the morning message board, which was right by where Spad had his spot, and he would wag his tail. It'd be so hard to not pet him.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I struggled with that all year.
Yeah.
So a couple times he got up and came over to me, and I know he wasn't supposed to, and I'd be like, go back, I'm gonna get in trouble. And I did get in trouble.
Oh, was it the aide?
The aide.
She's the best. She's the best.
Yes, she said, you may not touch him, you're not a handler. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so that's one of the things. So he, as an autism service dog, I should mention his tasks.
Yes. That would
so service dogs, legitimate service dogs, of which there are actually few in public. I find more and more people are putting vests on their pets and bringing them out, and it's frustrating for a variety of reasons. But real service dogs are task trained to support someone with a disability. So it's not just like, oh, I have my pet with me because I feel more emotionally stable. Although Josiah does feel more emotionally stable when Spad's near. SPAD is trained to perform a task specifically related to my son's disability, and the reason we got him was because Josiah runs, just runs, or what they call eloping in our world.
Oh, okay.
And that's a massive fear for parents of children with disabilities, not just because they could run out in traffic or run somewhere and hide, but because children with autism are inevitably drawn to water. Yeah, and so if you ever see like this, I get the notifications all the time on my newsfeed, child with autism missing, and they're saying they're searching local water first. That's why. It's part of, so I'm living in this fear, and I say I want a service dog that can track my child. And so we got SPAD because he can do search and rescue. He knows Josiah's scent, and I can send him out on a track, and he will find Josiah, which is like the coolest thing in the world.
That sounds magical.
It really is. I mean, the first time you see the dog do it, you're just like, wow. And as handlers, we're trained so that we know if SPAD's on scent or if he's like sniffing, a deer poop or something on the trail. And but now Josiah and SPAD have bonded so well because they spend so much time together that the second I say, find your boy, or where's your boy, SPAD does this little butt hop. And you see all his fluffy fur flying, and off he goes to the point where like I can't even hold on. And he's just like,
wow.
Give me. And of course he doesn't know he's rescuing a kid. He just knows that his favorite treat's at the end of that adventure. So he's like, give me the bill jack. Where's the bill jack in my Frisbee? I want them now. Currently the Frisbee's on the roof of our house. Oops. That was my fault.
Maybe need another Frisbee. Backup Frisbee.
I need to get like a long stick and pull it down. So that's.
So what other tasks does he do?
He does tethering. So the same harness we use to track, we can attach a little bungee cord to the back of that harness, and there's a clip that goes around Josiah's waist, and so he's physically attached to the dog, and it, we have only had to do one real track since we got SPAD, which is incredible, and part of it's because Josiah has that tether. And now that they're becoming more of a team and more bonded, there are days when we can just put a little mini leash on the back and Josiah can hold on to the leash, and he doesn't have to be physically attached. The other thing that the tethering can do is, his aide has told me that when he's in the classroom and he's just really like can't sit down and focus, she'll say, oh, do you want your SPAD? And he'll say, yeah, and she puts the clip around him, and it's just like, it's like grounding him to something physical. So, and then the other things that SPAD does are behavior disruption. So if Josiah is self-harming, or he just can't, like he's having a meltdown and he's overwhelmed and he can't regroup, SPAD has tasks he can do that either basically interrupt him from hurting himself or others, or that will calm him down. So
does he recognize that on his own SPAD, or do you have to give a command for him to?
He's starting to. It's a process, and some of the stuff we've struggled with as parents and handlers is what command do we give him for what activity? So, when we first got him, we said, okay, Josiah's doing this, let's command him to do a touch, which is like kind of like a high five, but just touching him. Or a nuzzle where he'll take his nose. If you like cross your arms, SPAD will come and knock him out of the way, And sometimes that can make the meltdown worse if SPAD's up in his face. So we learned that if it's a self-harming situation, we don't care if he gets more upset. We would like SPAD to interrupt it. So we sort of tweaked that. And now SPAD, he's getting there. He's learning, but he kind of just tries everything. So he just comes over and he's like, ah.
So how old is SPAD now?
He's two. Still a puppy for a golden doodle. But then other meltdowns, sometimes he just needs a quiet moment with SPAD. We can just lay SPAD next to him and have him curl over his SPAD, or a SPAD will lay on top of him. It's like a 70-pound weighted blanket.
It's nice, warm, soft.
And as handlers, we practice these things on ourselves, and it's wonderful.
Oh, I bet. That sounds so nice.
It really is.
Wow. So does SPAD sleep with Josiah?
Yes, he sleeps with them. Not always in the same bed because SPAD has a lot of fur and it gets hot, so he moves around throughout the night. But they sleep in the same room. They go to school together. We were very lucky that the community center, they were so accommodating this summer. They provided a handler for SPAD so he could go to summer camp with Josiah.
That's so wonderful. So did the handler need to go through special training then, or did you provide that yourself?
I provide it. So for PAWS, one of the requirements is we don't hand off a service dog unless it's been trained. So I spent time with his counselors, and then they had kind of an extra person that was a handler, and I went through the handler training with them, and then continually provided support throughout the summer to make sure that Spat is getting handled properly, because he's a puppy and he's a dog, he's not a robot.
Right.
And so, you know, there are times when something will come up or he'll get really excited, and we have to, you know, talk to them about, okay, what happens when the dog gets excited because it's something new he hasn't seen before, or whatever. So, you know.
So how about back to life before Spat? How did you cope? And then also, what was it like when the new baby came along? How did that change things?
Yeah, well, when Judah came along, Josiah was really fascinated with his mouth and kept sticking his fingers down his throat.
Oh.
So we spent a lot of time in the baby carrier just to get him up out of reach.